I heard the best explanation I've ever heard yet from Steve Albini talking about why it stinks to try to comp vocals like a crazy person. I never really understood why people do it this way, where they do every word, try to make every single word pitch perfect. A lot of people do that. I don't really get it because it's not about the pitch. It's not about really, it's if they're trying to go for something where they're being so meticulous about each word that they think that helps them in some way. Now, this is all granted my opinion, just like I'm about to play you a clip from Steve Albini, which is his opinion. And whether you like it or not, Steve Albini is amazing. On this channel, I believe Steve Albini's amazing. I love his style. Do I like some people's mixes better than his? Sometimes, maybe. I appreciate what he does, and I like his concept of allowing the band to breathe and be totally them without any outside really influence of anybody, even him. So I appreciate that for what it is. But I can also say that the dude is on point when it comes to why vocal comping in a ridiculous manner is crazy. Check this out, then we'll give you my take on it. Steve, this is for teaching purposes. Fair use for teaching purposes. Here we go.
Let's say someone has gone through all of womandom and found the perfect ankle, and then the perfect calf, and then the perfect knee, and the perfect thigh, and the number one buttock, right? And assembled a leg and positioned that on the couch, and then gone to another leg, and gone through this whole menu of choices where each choice was a deliberate, perfect choice. When you looked at that final assembled thing, it would freak you out and be insane, right? So, and that's exactly what's happening when people, what people like about a vocal performance is that it has a human quality that you engage with as human communication, not that it is like the best ever S, you know?
Right, right. All right, so let's talk about that for a sec. There's so much to this. Some people are going to be listening to this and say to themselves, oh man, that's exactly what I want to do. I wish I could do that with a woman. Perfect. That's the woman I would want. No, you wouldn't. You just think that because you haven't done it and get the results. When you do this to a vocal, you sterilize it of all life. You sterilize it because now things are disjointed. If you were a little out of breath when you got done singing something, and now it has a different feel when you start the next part, and it makes sense. Your energy makes sense. The way you performed it is the way it would naturally happen. So that rushed, or maybe you're a little rushed, or a little behind, or a little in front, a little more energy, a little less energy after, you're then catching your breath. This is all something that is subconsciously translated in a way that people will then be able to just connect with it a little more. I mean, I firmly believe this. Granted, it's my opinion. It's also Steve's opinion. But there's also going to be people who say they don't like Steve's mixes. They don't like his style. They don't like whatever. The point is, I appreciate Steve and what he brings to the table, which is allowing the band to really be the band and let it breathe. Not to come in and try to make the perfect performance, because that embodies his style of working so well. All right. But I also want you to realize he's not the only one who feels this way. And he's also, a lot of people comp vocals. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just there's different ways you could go about comping vocals depending on what you're going for. You know, even on the Soundgarden recording, Chris Cornell is the guy running the desk for his own recording. So he's making the choices on what he likes and what he doesn't. Then Michael Beinhorn comped the vocals, so he decided what the best takes were and what the moments needed. Okay, we need this take for this, and this is good for there, and okay, a little bit of this one. Now this, he's the one deciding that. It's very hard for the artist to decide this for themselves. It's not impossible, but it's hard for an artist to sometimes hear in a way that's objective on their own stuff. Very hard. That's why it's not necessarily a good idea to have the artist do the comping also. But if you're doing your own stuff, you go for it, because nobody's going to know what you like better than you either. So there's a logic to that. You know, if you learn how to do stuff like this yourself, you can get stuff that's way more close to what you like. I don't comp one word at a time. That's not my style. I like playing it through, making notes, and then picking the take that has the least notes as the lead, and then I'll use any note spots I'll grab from other takes. That's always how I roll on every instrument, especially like drums. Drums, I'll make 3 or 4 passes through, get solid takes. Once that happens, pick the one that has the best feel, the best groove. That's the lead. That's the one we pick. This is the keeper track. Then we use the other ones as, okay, the kick was a little rushed here. Rather than use beat detective or anything like that to manipulate time, I never like to do that. I want the human performance. So I'll find it on a different take and I'll put it there. Now all of a sudden it feels like it makes sense. And now the kick isn't rushed. Perfect. And if I have to slide the front back a little bit more and the back, just manipulate like the length of the comped take that I moved into the keeper track, if I need to manipulate that and mess with crossfades in different places to get it to work, that's what I do. I could spend several minutes just making sure that the in fade and out fade sounds really good in solo. A lot of times I'll do it in solo to make sure it sounds great in solo, because then in the track it's good. Whereas if you put it in the track and just listen to it all together when you're trying to deal with fading in and out of like the comps, you may get a situation where it sounds good when it's unmixed, while you're in the editing stage. But as soon as you turn stuff up, and you make it where now you hear the rooms and now you hear the snare and the whatever, all of a sudden that edit will become much more obvious and you don't want to deal with it then. I like to actually separate what I'm doing into, recording, producing, editing is all happening sort of in that order. Like you record, the production's happening while you're recording, that's all one, but you edit the performances if you have to way before you mix. You got to do the editing prior to mixing. I don't like mixing and having to do cleanup and edit and do all that stuff while I'm mixing, because it slows me down, takes me out of the creative mind, and they're different minds. One is, how do we get this crossfade right so it doesn't sound obvious that there's 2 drum takes, because there's cymbals, hanging over from one take to another, and there may be the velocity's different. Some are loud and now it gets quiet. That doesn't work. So now I'm in this critical mind of making that sound like it's one performance. And I don't want to be doing that in the midst of making creative decisions for how, perfect volume matches and making, volume automated rides and getting the thing to feel great. That's the mix, getting it to feel great. The editing part is super critical. So try not to combine those two if you can help it. So that's why I'll do all that on like a separate day if I can help it. The editing of everything, and get it edited, ready to go, where I could just come in and start playing with stuff as if all I'm doing is fader moves and stuff, as if I don't have a mouse in a way. All right. Obviously, you still use the mouse for a lot of stuff, especially if you're in the box. You're using it for everything, but you understand what I'm saying. So it's not you don't take it out completely, but the concept is you don't want to be sitting there editing if you can help it. Granted, there's always some stuff that you don't figure out till later you got to do, and then you do that. Keeping it moving. Bottom line, I believe in this style of working. I never liked putting stuff in a grid, and I think if you start working this way, you will like it better too. No matter how you started, no matter how you grew up, what you were listening to, I think we all relate to that human element more and more the more music actually is created by AI and digitized, and computers are making everything. It's all samples and beats and virtual instruments. The more that happens, even more so I find people are going to yearn for this other thing. So it's just the way I believe. I believe the more computers take over, the more people are going to seek out this human element. I find that's the case. So anyway, I don't know what you guys think. There's obviously no right or wrong answer. I just make these freaking videos. So you guys put something in the comments. Let me know how you feel about all this. I just feel like if I could snap my fingers right now and make everyone stop using gridded anything, stop zooming into the grid and deciding where to put anything, stop using beat detective kind of software, stop doing all that. If I could make everyone do it with the snap of the fingers, I really think music would be way better off if I could do that, but I can't. So that's why just kind of preaching to hope that you guys will try it this way, because there's not a magic to making the vocal sound technically perfect. You're trying to make it sound great, which means feel great. That's what it means. So leave something in there. I appreciate it. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Evan Jaffe, Custom Cut Studios. You guys got this. Take it easy.